You already hold the master key to the universe, and you've been using it to unlock the wrong doors. The thing you're struggling to understand about your money, your relationships, your own restless mind, it's written in plain sight in something you walked past this morning. A leaf. A spiral of cream in your coffee. The way a city grows. By the end of this, you'll never look at a single ordinary thing the same way again because you'll know how to read it. There's an old phrase, carved into the foundations of every mystery tradition worth its name. As above, so below. Most people hear it as poetry, a pretty rhyme for tattoos and pendants. But the ancient Hermeticists meant something colder and more precise. They meant that reality is built in tiers, and every tier is stamped with the same signature. The pattern that runs the atom runs the galaxy. The law that shapes the thought shapes a civilization. Learn one floor of the building, and you've learned the blueprint of all of them, which raises an unsettling question. If that's true, why does life still feel so unreadable? Because you were taught to study things in isolation. Biology over here, money over there, your feelings locked in a third room with the door shut. You became a specialist in fragments, fluent in pieces, lost in the whole. The Hermetic mind does the opposite. It assumes that the answer to your hardest problem is already sitting in a domain you find easy. You just never thought to translate. Let me show you what that translation looks like. Watch water. Pour it down a hillside, and it doesn't flow randomly. It finds the path of least resistance, carves a channel, and every drop after it deepens that groove. Over years, a riverbed. Now stop looking at the water and look at your own days. The first time you reached for your phone in a moment of boredom, that was a drop. You've poured the same drop 1,000 times since. You followed a channel you carved without noticing. The river and the habit are kin. They obey one principle. Energy repeats the path it has already worn. Feel the weight of that for a second. Then feel the door it opens. If your habits are riverbeds, you stop fighting the water. You dig a new channel and let the water do what water does. The Hermeticist who understood the river already understood addiction, savings, and the slow death of talent. One law, wearing different costumes on different floors. So here's what should be nagging at you now. If the same principle shows up in water and in willpower, how far up does it go? How far down? Go down. Far down, into the structure of a single tree. Snap off a branch and look at it. It splits, then splits again, then again, and each small fork is a shrunken copy of the whole. Mathematicians have a name for this nested self-similarity, and they found the very same branching in your lungs, in the rivers of a continent seen from orbit, in the cracks of dried mud in the path lightning takes across the sky. The lung is a tree grown inward to drink air. The river delta is a tree laid flat to pour into the sea. Above, so below, and the proof is in your own chest, expanding right now without your permission. This is where it stops being a curiosity and starts being a power. Once you accept that the pattern is everywhere, you can borrow understanding from anywhere. Stuck on a human problem, find where nature already solved it. Your overloaded life, drowning in obligations you can't drop. Go ask the tree how it carries 1,000 leaves without snapping. It doesn't strengthen every branch equally. It sheds. In autumn, it lets the costly leaves die so the trunk survives the winter. You've been trying to keep every leaf green through the frost. The tree would call that a death wish. Sit with that discomfort. You already know which leaves you're refusing to drop. And the tree is only one teacher among thousands, each whispering the same lesson in its own dialect. Watch how a single cell in your body lives. It guards a membrane, lets the useful in, pushes the toxic out, and dies the moment the boundary fails. Now look at a healthy person, a healthy company, a healthy nation. Same architecture. They thrive by knowing what to let in and what to refuse. The thing you call a boundary problem in your relationships is a membrane problem, and a cell that's been doing it well for 1 billion years would solve your weekend in an afternoon. Look at a market. Prices rise on greed, crash on fear, then slowly find their floor. A crowd breathing in and out. Now look at your own confidence, because it carries the same frequency. It inflates when you're praised, collapses when you're criticized, then settles towards some stubborn baseline that no single day can move, the same settling you hear when a song drops to 432 Hz in attune, link in the description. And your breathing slows without you deciding it should. The trader watching charts and the anxious mind watching itself are studying one creature, a system overcorrecting in both directions, always hunting for a center it can never quite hold. Learn how a market finds its true value, and you've learned how to stop selling your own worth in a panic. This is the quiet, outrageous promise of the principle. You do not have to master every field to understand your life. You have to master one, all the way down until you can feel the law beneath it, and then that law translates. The botanist and the banker and the mystic are climbing the same mountain from different trailheads. The view from the top is identical. Now lift your eyes higher. The Hermetic claim runs further than nature mirroring nature. It says the inner world and the outer world are two faces of one coin, that the visible kingdom below is a mirror of the mental kingdom above. This is the part that changes your life or changes nothing. Everything depends on whether you actually believe it. Consider how a single seed contains the entire tree. Not a picture of the tree, the whole instruction set folded into something smaller than your fingernail. The oak is invisibly present in the acorn, long before it's visibly present in the field. And the ancient teaching says your life works in the same order. The invisible holds the pattern, and the visible only catches up later. What you assume in the silence of your own mind is the acorn. What shows up in your circumstances is the oak. Slow, inevitable, already decided at the level you can't see. This is why so much effort fails. People try to rearrange the oak. They prune the branches of their visible life, change the job, change the city, change the partner, while the acorn underneath keeps the same instruction. And the new tree grows back into the old shape. You've watched it happen to someone. You may have watched it happen to you. You felt this without naming it. A bitter person walks into a sunny room and finds the one thing to complain about. A grateful person walks into a hard week and finds the one thing to bless. Same room, same week. The world they each report is the faithful printout of the seed they planted long ago. Circumstances are obedient, they print whatever's in the file. So how do you change the seed? You change what you consistently assume to be true, not what you say. Not what you wish, what you genuinely accept as the water you swim in. The Hermeticists called the mind the highest plane precisely because it sits upstream of everything below it. Change the source, and the river reroutes itself. This is the meaning hidden inside that old line about faith moving mountains. The mountain was always below. Faith is above. Move the above, and the below has to follow. But, and here the easy version of this teaching collapses, the assumption has to be held, not visited. Held. This is the inner work nobody sells you. Because it doesn't fit on a pendant, you can decide in one bright morning that you are a wealthy, calm, deeply loved person. Lovely. By noon a bill arrives, a message stings, the old riverbed pulls your thoughts back into their worn channel, and you spend the afternoon swimming in scarcity again. One acorn in the morning, 1,000 contradicting it by night. Nothing grows in soil you keep digging up. The principle of correspondence asks more than one good thought. It asks you to win the war over which thoughts get to repeat. The old teachers called it a mental diet, watching what you feed the inner plane, hour after hour, because each thought is a drop, and the drops are carving your life whether you supervise them or not. Think about how strange this is. The hardest spiritual discipline ever devised is simply paying attention to the inside of your own head. No mountain to climb, no fast to endure, no temple to reach. The whole battlefield is the quiet space behind your eyes, and almost nobody is willing to fight there because there's no audience and no applause. A monk knew this 1,000 years ago. So did the gardener, who learned that you cannot scream a seed into sprouting. You can only plant it correctly and refuse to dig it up to check. Does that sound exhausting? It is, at first. Every new channel is hard to dig, while the old one runs deep and easy beside it. But water is patient, and so is the law. Keep returning to the assumption, gently, stubbornly, the way you'd return a wandering child to your side, and something shifts. The new groove deepens. The old one, starved of attention, begins to dry. One morning, the thought you once had to force arrives on its own, the way distraction used to. That's the moment the seed is taken. After that, the tree grows itself. Now climb to the top floor and let this open all the way out. If correspondence is real, then you are the cosmos at one scale, running the same code as the cosmos at every other scale. The fear that contracts your stomach before a hard conversation runs on the same gravity that pulls a planet into orbit. Attention bending toward what it can't ignore. The way you forgive someone and feel a knot release follows the same logic by which a forest recovers from fire. There is one set of operating principles, and you are written in it, fluent in it, made of it. Which means the universe is a locked vault no longer. It's a sentence repeating itself in 1,000 languages, hoping one of them is one you finally understand. Astronomy is theology for people who prefer dirt. The mystics studying their own breath and the physicists studying the stars are reading the same book from opposite ends, and they meet, eventually, in the middle, surprised to find each other there. So stop waiting for some special revelation to arrive from outside your ordinary life. The revelation is your ordinary life. Read at the right depth. The argument you keep avoiding, the plant dying on your windowsill, the river you cross on the way to work, each one is the whole law, handed to you in miniature, asking only that you learn to translate. Here is your work, starting today. Pick one thing you understand deeply, your craft, your kitchen, your kids, and ask what it knows that your hardest problem needs to hear. Then go upstream of your visible life, into the quiet plain where the seed is planted, and guard what you let grow there as if your whole world depends on it, because the old teachers were always speaking literally. It always did. The leaf on the pavement this morning was a letter, addressed to you, written in the only handwriting the universe has ever used. You walked past it because you couldn't read it yet. Tomorrow you can. And once you can read one thing all the way down, you've started to read everything. The riverbed, the lung, the acorn, the war inside your own quiet mind. Same author, same hand, same sentence, scale to fit your life. Pick it up. It's been waiting for you to look down and recognize the sky.